What is good, y'all? It is Anime K here, and we are back with another video. Now, guys, I've got a question for you. Does Boruto have a Gojo problem? Now, guys, I want to explain to you what a Gojo problem is. Now, a Gojo problem is basically where you get an overpowered MC or an overpowered maybe side character or close to the main character, kind of like how Sasuke is close to the main character, but he's not really a main character, right? Something like that. And it's basically where you have an overpowered main character who takes up all the shine, takes up all the fight, someone who you can rely on, someone, if something's going wrong, you go, well, we're just going to get Gojo, which you've seen a lot in JJK. So I got to ask you guys the question, does Boruto have this same problem? Now, the first example, obviously, of what a Gojo problem is obviously JJK, right? You've seen with JJK a lot of the times when stuff would go wrong, Gojo would sort it out. It'd be like, look, let's just get Gojo. Gojo's going to help. I mean, Gojo was that strong. He literally kept down, I guess, crime, you could call it, or he kept the cursed spirits away just because he was that strong. A lot of them didn't want to come out of fear of Gojo, right? That was a real thing in the JJK universe. So could Boruto have the same problem? Well, when you look at JJK, it did kind of affect JJK for a while because it was like, you know, the other characters had the moments. You know, Nanami had his moment. Obviously, Yuji had his moments as well. Don't get me wrong. But I think when Gojo went away, it really let the other characters shine. And the Shibuya arc, it was a really good arc and Gojo was barely in it. So I guess that's somewhat evidence that taking Gojo out can make the show better in some ways, right? Obviously, Gojo being there is good. We all love Gojo. But taking Gojo out the show did make the show better in some ways, right? In some ways. Now, this situation is a little different because Gojo was technically the side character. I know in some ways he was the main character. I mean, he got his whole arc where it was about him and Geto. So it's kind of hard to say if he is a side character because he's not a conventional side character, even though technically he won an award for being a side character, right? The Crunchyroll Award. So it's like, I don't really know, but I guess for argument's sake, right, we'll call him a side character. So it is a little different because Gojo was a side character, whereas Boruto right now, he is the main character of the story. So you could argue that Boruto being stronger than everyone else, I mean, he's the main character. Obviously, he should be, right? So let's take a look at all of Boruto's fights, right? So he's had at least, what, like, I don't know how many fights he's had so far after the time skip, right? But let's just take a look at his fights, right? All of his fights. And if we take out the pre-time skip and if we take out the flashback with Code where he lost, right? He's basically nearly won all his fights and he's only really had to retreat twice. Now, the two times he had to retreat, one, it was because of Sasuke Shinju, right? And to be fair to Boruto, all the Shinju were there in one place. He didn't know much about them. And it was Sasuke Shinju who attacked him, so he was kind of like, you know, he was stuck. You know, he's seen Sasuke attack him. He kind of hesitated, obviously, right? You've seen Boruto hesitate there. So it's not really Boruto's fault. All of them were there. Sasuke's clone kind of surprised attacked him. So we'll give it to Boruto. It's not his fault there, but he did have to retreat in that sense, right? Before he was killed. Now, the second time was against Kawaki. Now, this time with Kawaki is because Boruto doesn't have as much control over his karma as he did pre-time skip. There's a lot of reasons why this could happen, right? Which people have talked about in other videos. I know other people have made videos on it, but there's a lot of reasons why Boruto's karma could be acting up when it gets near to Kawaki's karma, right? But that still happened and Boruto had to retreat. But again, this didn't really make Boruto look too bad because one, he did kick Kawaki's ass quite easily without the karma where Kawaki was using his karma, right? So it didn't really make Boruto look bad. It actually made the story better, the fact that Boruto has some kind of a handicap, because before this, Boruto was just winning all his fights so easily. I feel like putting this in the chapter was actually quite genius by Kishimoto to kind of let the fans know, look, yes, Boruto's strong, but he's going to have a handicap. He's going to have something that's going to stop him. So I think you guys should bear that in mind. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the characters who could have been affected by Boruto being too strong, right? Who could potentially get really hurt by this. Now, the first one is Code. Now, I think with Code, it's a little different because I feel like Code, he's already kind of in the mud right now, especially with a lot of the fan, well, all of the fan base. If you've been reading Boruto or if you've been watching the anime, I'm sure Code's not your favorite character right now. He's a horrible villain. He just loses. He's kind of a joke right now. I don't think there's any other way to describe Code. He's really a joke. I mean, every single time he's been in a fight, he's just been embarrassed. He's been embarrassed by Ada. He's been embarrassed by Kawaki and Boruto pre-time skip. He's been embarrassed by Boruto post-time skip. And he had to retreat from the Shinju as well, which Boruto had to do as well. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't even try to fight. He just retreated. So I don't know. I think with Code, I think Boruto being strong, it does kind of affect him in some ways because I think that first panel where Boruto is stamping on his head doesn't make him look any better, right? I really don't know if I like the way Kishimoto did that with Code. I love the moment, right? I thought it was a funny manga panel, right? I think people will be talking about that manga panel for years. Don't get me wrong, right? I think the manga panel was very funny. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but when I think about it, did it make Code look the best? Not really. And right now, if I just mention Code to you right now, he's not really a respectable villain. Like, even with Sarada, right? Even though Boruto had to, I guess, save Sarada, we don't know what Sarada's MS abilities are. So maybe even Sarada could have actually put up a fight against Code. We don't know. But in terms of Kawaki, Boruto, Daemon, Ada, all those characters, right? Code's not doing nothing against them, especially not against the Shinju. So I don't know how Code gets back into this story, really. Maybe you have to give him a couple wins, but maybe you have to give him another power-up. I don't know. I don't know what Code could possibly do right now. Maybe he unlocks something. But that's the only way I see him getting back into the story. So again, this one, I'm like, I'm 50-50, but I feel like Code was already killed even before the time skip, right? So I feel like Kishimoto, I don't know what you're going to do with Code. Maybe you're going to give him a new power-up. I don't know, but you're going to have to work on that. You're going to have to work on Code, because when Code was first introduced, I was really excited about him just like everyone else, and he's been a disappointment. So now let's move on to Sarada. Now with Sarada, it's a bit different, because with Sarada, yes, she's been saved by Boruto twice now, at the start of the chapter and this latest chapter that's just come out, right? Boruto's had to save her. Now, she's put up a couple good fights. To be fair, she did dodge the Shinju without her MS, right? Let's just mention that, right? Sarada is my favorite character, so I might be a little biased here, but she did pretty well, right? She did okay. Plus, we don't know her MS abilities yet, which could be anything. And again, I know people don't like this argument that she awakened it differently. Well, I know some people don't, right? So we don't know. Her MS ability could be the most powerful MS ability we've ever seen from any single character. That's including Itachi, Madara, or Sasuke. We don't really know. Now, again, I know a lot of people won't want to hear that, because we all love Itachi, we love Sasuke, and we love Madara, right? But again, we don't know her MS ability. So again, I'm going to say right now, I think Sarada's fine. I think she's okay. I think in the next couple of chapters, though, we have to see the progression from her. I think we're in 11 chapters now. We need to see some progression from Sarada. We need to know what her MS abilities are. But maybe there's a reason why Kishimoto's not shown us yet. Or maybe he just doesn't know what her MS abilities are. But I have a feeling her MS abilities will be strong, or at least I'm keeping hope, because we've not seen them yet. Maybe there's going to be a big reveal and she'll be very strong. And plus, if you take that chapter where Sasuke says you and Sarada will save the world, maybe that's Sasuke just thinking his daughter can save the world, or maybe it's something more deeper. We don't know, but I'm keeping out hope for Sarada. Again, she's my favorite character in the show, so I hope she's not left behind. I really do, because that would be sad, because I think the way she's been written so far has been really good and really amazing. So I'm hoping to see her get stronger. Now, moving on to Mitsuki. With Mitsuki, I wish his first fight wasn't against Boruto. Now, what do I mean by that, or why do I say that? Because one, I think just like everyone else, right, I was excited for Sage Mode, right? I was excited for Snake Sage Mode. I was really thinking that it was going to be something strong. And the first fight he has using Snake Sage Mode, which obviously he's improved with since the pre-time skip, right? He's gotten better at it. He's against Boruto, which Boruto easily defeats him. The only reason why the fight drags out long as it did, is because he was trying to protect Sumire and Sarada from getting hurt. Obviously by Mitsuki going crazy and shooting snakes and everything, he was trying to protect them. But realistically, if they weren't there, he would have defeated them easily. And I really didn't like that fight for Mitsuki. I don't think it was done well personally. I think Mitsuki probably should have got a fight against someone else, or at least done a bit better against Boruto. I really didn't like that fight. I really feel like that's the one fight. If people wanting to say that Boruto being strong is getting out of hand, that's the one fight I would point to, because I just didn't like the way Mitsuki looked at the end of it. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a good storyline. Mitsuki finding himself, finally becoming stronger, which I feel like Kishimoto is setting Mitsuki up to be stronger by not relying on someone else, not relying on Kawaki or Boruto, but being stronger, not needing a sun or a moon. What is it? Is it sun or a moon? It's the sun, right? Not needing a sun and being able to stand by himself and be strong. So I really feel like Kishimoto, just like with Sarada, he's setting Mitsuki up to be stronger, but I didn't like the way Mitsuki looked at the end of that fight, right? But again, just like with Sarada, I'm holding out hope. We're only 11 chapters in, but again, we do need some progression from these characters thus forth, right? Now with Kawaki, I don't have much to say about Kawaki. Now he has looked bad, don't get me wrong, but if you look at the first chapter of Boruto, he was fighting on equal terms with Boruto, so I'm not worried. I'm sure he'll get some power up. I don't know how it will be done. I don't know if it'll be done in the right way, but I'm not worried about Kawaki. Kawaki will be fine. He'll get a power up. He's literally the other main character of the show, so I'm not too worried about Kawaki. Now, I'm worried when his power up will be, because right now in these last couple of chapters, he's not looked the best, right, guys? I'm sure we can all agree on that, but Kawaki will get a power up, right? Look at the first chapter, he's fighting on equal terms. You know, the age of shinobi is over. I'm still a shinobi, you know, headband, all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. So if you guys want to know my final thoughts on this, I think, look, we have to give it a little bit more time, just a little bit. Now, I think in the next couple of chapters, that will determine how I feel, and maybe I'll make another video on this if it's still looking bad. But I think for the most part, right, I'm holding out faith in a lot of characters in the show, mainly obviously Sarada, Mitsuki. Kawaki will probably be fine, you know, he's another main character. Code, I really don't know what you can do with Code. Like, Code's really gonna have to go on just a winning streak of effing people up, literally, because I don't know what else you can really do. I really don't know. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Does Boruto have a Gojo problem, right? Or are we all just overreacting? I think we need to give it a bit more time, personally. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video. And my next video, I don't know when it will be, guys. I'm not even going to promise you guys I'll post tomorrow, because my post already flip-floppy recently. But I'll try. But guys, this has been Anime K. Peace. I'm out.